Hello and welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about how to use FlutterFlow and how to use BuildShip. If you're new to no code, this is the perfect episode for you. We're going to go through how you can start building your apps, what you can be doing with this, and all the things in between. If you have questions, make sure you drop them in the chat below. And if you're watching this on replay, make sure you say hashtag replay in the comment section and look for the timestamps that will be added after the session. So we're going to get right into it. So thanks so much for everyone watching. I see Eamon in the chat. I see Sabrina. I see a few. Hey, Bob, what's going on? John. Okay, thanks so much for being here. So let's just talk about, first of all, what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be using the platform called FlutterFlow and talking about all the things you can be doing with it. And we're going to be talking about how to use something called BuildShip. BuildShip is a platform where you can be creating different nodes, and basically you can utilize machine learning and AI to build complex functionality and workflows that you can put into FlutterFlow and all of those things. Hey, I'm seeing all different types of people. I'm seeing AB, the CTO. Thanks so much for being here. Hack your app. Good times. Tozo, look, we got everyone here. Thanks so much for being here. Okay, as we're going through this morning, make sure that you let me know what you're trying to build, what you're looking to do, and we'll talk about that as well. And if you're new to FlutterFlow or BuildShip, let me know that as well. Okay, so the first part that we're going to be looking at is, first of all, what FlutterFlow is all about. Now, this is just a platform where you can be building out applications super fast using no code, and then it's going to allow you to have clean code if you want to export it, because it's building the application in Flutter. So that is a code language from Google, and you can export it. So that's great. That's a great thing that you can be doing. One of the few no-code tools that you can export if you don't want to use the platform anymore. Now, let's take a look at BuildShip. BuildShip is a platform where you can be creating all different types of calculations or advanced things that you want to do that you can plug into FlutterFlow or other front-end no-code platforms. Let's take a look at some templates to give you some examples of what you can be doing with BuildShip. David from New York, thanks so much for being here, man. Appreciate it. Okay, so say, for instance, you're trying to do some more advanced things. For example, you want to do directions, calculate distance. So if you're trying to create a Uber or ride sharing app, and you want to have a section or a calculation in your no code app, it could be in FlutterFlow, and you're trying to calculate the distance and give a price to how much the ride will cost. You can do that with BuildShip. If you're trying to do something with Firestore, so if you're doing something with your backend and you're trying to write data safely to a Firestore collection using custom validation, you can do that. So I would say if you're trying to do more advanced things and you're trying to cut out the manual things and you want to scale your business, you could be doing this. Say, for instance, if people are trying to use Chat GPT and connect and talk to a PDF. Instead of just talking to one PDF or doing that one at a time, you can write a node or be able to progress using BuildShip to scale. So you could be chatting with 1,000 different PDF documents or something like that. It really depends. What I would say here is you would write down what you're trying to do, and that allows you to basically have structure of all the different things you could be doing with BuildShip. Okay. Let's see. Clever saying, let's see. Clever saying, I want to offer promotion of your channel viewers. This price is lower than competitors. Okay. Clever, you can talk to people in the chat. See if people want to see that. No big deal. David is saying, is BuildShip kind of like an API library? That's a great question. It can be, because you can, instead of you writing out, so the simple answer, it could be. Hold on one second, I'm dying, I'm coughing. Sorry about that. It can be in a sense, because once you use BuildShip, create a it can create API endpoints, and it can create all of the API documentation for you if you want. Let me show you an example for a moment. Give me 1 second. Great questions. Great questions. Okay. Put this here. Okay. And bring this back over here and sign out. Let's go and give it a little bit more detail out here. Okay. Okay, so this is an example, right? So if you're seeing that it says, like, I need a node to do something, it will allow you to create the REST API call, and it will automatically do all of those things for you. Let's just go through an example, right? So I need a node to perform an open API call, and then if you generate that, it will, and then be able to do the workflow. So how about this, David? Let's go through an example and show what it has. We'll kind of go step by step with it. Let's do that. Okay. So if I'm in BuildShip, and you can actually start using BuildShip for free. Let me drop the link down here. It's buildship.com. This. Drop it in the chat real quick. Put this in all destinations wherever you're watching. Hope you're watching from South Africa. Thanks so much for being here. Love to see you. Okay, so once you go into your account, you're going to be able to have your projects. You're going to be able to create a workflow. And say, for instance, if I click this plus sign over here, once I click the plus sign, I can get started. Now it says add a trigger to get to the workflow or use one of the pre-built templates. Let's start from scratch so we can let's use one of their templates so we can look at flow and then make our own, right? So if we see HTML to PDF, we click that, and then we're going to zoom in, and you see the trigger where it first started. It says REST API call, right? So it's first doing a REST API call post, and then we're going with the generator. So a node that generates a universally unique identifier. It says HTML to PDF. So we have the HTML content that we can have here, the options, the file path. And then what we have is the upload file that we can have. And then we can have the status where we're returning the value. So if we're going here for a second, we might be saying, Doc, this is a lot. Maybe I'm not used to writing code or doing anything with APIs. Just let me know. Raise your hand, or just let me know if you haven't been working with APIs before. But basically, this is giving you a lot of power as you're trying to go through instead of writing all of your code or doing something in JSON, it's allowing you to already have that power that it's writing it for you. Let me know if that makes sense. Okay. Now we'll start from scratch for a moment. We're going to say add a trigger. Now let's just say for a second, it says add a trigger. You can see where it says REST API call. So that just means if I'm going to be talking to another system, I'm going to say I want to talk to this system. It says ROE trigger. That just means if I am using their backend over here, am I doing something where I'm triggering another action? It's a schedule a trigger based on expression. So it can be based on what's happening in this area, in this time zone. This is what I need it to do. If you want to do something with Stripe and you're trying to, when something gets fired in Stripe, you want an action to fire. Telegram bot, when basically if you're using Telegram, if you want something to happen and you're running a Telegram group, you can do that. And then the last one is WhatsApp bot. So say for instance, you're running a whole WhatsApp group, and instead of you being overwhelmed and being in WhatsApp and doing everything manually, you can actually have a WhatsApp bot to be able to do all of those things and basically have a sequence. Now you might say like, but how would I start with like AI or something like that using OpenAI? Well, you're going to be talking to the OpenAI system, so you could be doing a REST API call, something like that. Okay. So we have that. Let me do an example of Star Wars API. It's a pretty basic API, so we're gonna maybe do that as an example. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's go there. Let's move that here. So we have the Star Wars API here. Look at the documentation. Okay, so as we're going through this, does this make sense as I'm looking at the different options as we're having this? This really depends on if you're getting started for the first time with APIs. You have to first write down, how do you want the system to talk to each other? What do you want to happen? Now, it's still going to do a lot of the things like you saw in the text prompts. I'm going to ask it to do certain things, but to understand how to use it and to have the framework, it's important to know just the basics of the structure of how to do API calls and all those things. Now, we're going to see how well it does when we do texting prompts, but want to just give you that background. Let me know in the chat. If you have never used APIs, I have a guide that I'm going to drop the link to as well. It's called the APIs for Complete Beginners. So it breaks down the different videos that I've done to do API documentation. If you want a copy of that, let me drop that in the chat. Oh, no, I did BuildShip. Hold on, my other link. Here we go. Okay. That's a Notion doc for APIs. Okay, so briefly it talks about what an API is, examples, why you should learn about APIs, how to use this resource, different videos I've done in the past using Canonic and others. Shout out to Canonic. And then how to read API documentation. And we go through actually the example of Star Wars that we're going to be doing and go from there. Okay, so let's take a look here. Let's start with a REST API, add trigger. We're going to say add a trigger here. And let's see here. It says REST API, search here. And what I want to do, see, I'm going to look at how they do their prompts for a moment. So they're going to test, they're going to go there. No problem, no problem. Okay, so they're doing it. I need to generate a node that detects objects. Okay, so they're putting it right there. And then they're having the queries, test. Okay. Just looking at this for a moment. Okay, adding a node. Okay, okay. And then the branching. Okay. All right. And you're going to email the endpoints, which would be similar. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so we're right here. And I'll say, let's see, I need to note that finds Star Wars characters. See if we can do it. From Star Wars API. Let's see what it does. Doing the magic here. They're scripting it out. Okay, so it's thinking about its life for a moment. Let's see what it creates. Now, the path is saying it's the get right here, request. I'm going to go into the documentation. Okay, so right here, if people are looking at this and they're saying like, how does this work, right? How do you use APIs? So imagine like you're on Google and you're searching for something, right? So if you're searching for something on Google, you see something that looks similar to this, where it's like HTTPS and then it's slash slash, right? And you're asking something. When you're seeing everything after the slash and you're asking for things, it's going to be it's the request of what you're looking for. So say, for instance, I'm at google.com. Hey, Doc, say hi to Sabrina for me. Oh, yeah. Cherry Brown, thank you so much for being here. Let's go here. Let's see, Star Wars. Star Wars. Okay. You see right here where we're looking at the the search bar at the top, right? The search bar at the top returns something where all this gobbledygook right here, right? But look what it says. It says https slash slash, www.google.com slash, and it says search, and then it will be the question mark, question mark, and then it's saying question mark Q equals star plus wars and. Now that's really important because that is you're talking to Google to get something from their system. The same way as when you're calling a system or doing something, you're grabbing information. So this is the the request of getting information from this Star Wars database. So right here it's saying people, and then right here is people /1. That is Luke Skywalker. If I put it in and I say people /2, let's do the request. It's thinking about its life. You see how it says C3PO? Because it's saying in their database all the different people that they're finding. And so I'm requesting, and I can do basically a call. Now, you might be saying, okay, why are we talking about all this? This is really powerful because if you're trying to create anything like Trendly, any kind of micro SaaS where you're grabbing information from a location, if you understand how to ask a system, you can charge people, for that database. Anything where you're looking for scraping, you're looking at people grabbing trends. This is grabbing trends from Google Trends. It's just calling the system. So if you understand how to set this up for your own micro SaaS, micro business, if you know where the information is and it's in a database, if it's in MySQL, if it's in Airtable, if it's anything, and it can be in Firebase, and you understand how to write the documentation or how to request information, think about all the different types of businesses that you could create if you knew how to do this. So that's why we're going through this. Now, some might be like, this is way too boring. Let me just go through this. We're going to just talk about it. So sorry, I got a little bit sidetracked and all of those different things. Let's bring this up. That's why I'm excited this morning. So I'm going to bring this into BuildShip. Let's edit this for a moment. Let's go through get API. So I'm putting this in. Now the script node is still writing, but I wanted to see what it does with just the API right here and bringing that in. See what it does. Let's see. So I'm bringing this over here. And then I'm doing get. See what it does. And I'm asking a lot as it's already generating the thing too. So I should be patient, but I'm just seeing all the things I can do right now. Okay, as it's doing that, let's talk about the different learnings and what you can be doing here too. Easy, what's going on here? Truth Futurist, were you talking about Noah last time? Okay, so as this is working, I can Easy, what's going on? Let's talk about those things real quick. Let me look at the documentation. And then go from there. And of course, because this is a live stream, people can ask me different things. Let's see. Let me go and check this. So I'm going to do a small detour because we see this in the chat. Just tuned in. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. Oop, 1 second. Thank you so much. See, Jasper say, I think you might need to add the path to the API you are creating and not the Star Wars one. Ah, thank you very much. Jasper, always on this. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's take a look at this. Gene's talking about, I need to create my own application like WhatsApp. Can you help me? Gene, that's big. Application like WhatsApp. Let's talk about it more. Send me an email. It kind of depends if you're just getting started, if you have funding, all those things. There are tons of different platforms that can kind of give you a head start if you want to do that. But we need to know the scope, like how big is it for a niche community, all those things. Let me know from there. Okay, so Jasper, we're going to come right back and look at what we're going to be doing with BuildShip. To answer your question, people are asking me about Toddle. So there's a video coming out that I'm going to be doing about Toddle in the next couple weeks. But this is what I'll say about Toddle for a moment. Toddle allows you to create many different things, similar to like Bubble. They're visual only, right? They're only doing the front end. It has a lot of potential. It's a young community, but pretty ambitious. You can create, like they were saying, almost about anything from YouTube to Airbnb. That's pretty ambitious. The thing is, it's going to be based off of the React library. So if you're familiar with any of those things and you like that structure to build, this is going to be beautiful for you. The issue that you're going to be running into it is the community smaller than like Bubble and things like that. And it's really, there's a lot to do. So you have to be totally immersive in something like Toddle. But the learning curve is pretty steep. So it's going to be closer to something like, if you're using something like Builder or something like that, that is going to be more of the structure. So I would say if you're already a developer and you like something like Builder, you like Node-RED, where you're having a lot of granular control, but you already have a lot of background using React, or like the methodology of doing that, you might not be great at it, but you like the structure and those different libraries, it would be good. If you have used JavaScript or formula variables, this is a great platform for you. It's not going to be easy like Glide or Softer, but you can do a lot more with Toddle. You can plug in tons of different backends. So that is something that you can be doing as well. If you're using CSS formulas, those kind of things, stack flows, this is going to be great for you. But those are things to consider. What I have seen is ones that are into low code and really, really like the structure, they're great, and it's web-based, so you're not going to be creating a native application or an application that you can submit to the App Store. If you're not trying to do that, you're totally fine, right? If you're going to be doing something like that, I can plug into open source backwards like Super. Yeah, you can add Superbase. Yeah, it's not a problem. You can do all those things with Toddle. What I've seen though is people, if you want to use Toddle, like you have to be part of the community and you have to be in it, right? You cannot just experiment and think that like, oh, I can create Airbnb in a day. If you don't understand the structure of all of these things that I mentioned with React and understanding what you need to do, you will get frustrated. Now, if there's the community in the Discord that you can really connect with, there's tons of great people. This is not something that you can just pick up and you'll master it in a day. If you have 2 to 3 months to really dive in and be part of the community, there are so many people that are helping. There's, I think, a new certification for people that are really helping in the community, but you have to have time and energy. So if you like code and you want to build, this is a great community for you to expand. If you're just getting new, if you're just new to no code and you're just getting started, there are other tools or other communities that I would I would say. Let me know if that makes sense. Okay, we're going to get back to BuildShip in one moment. It seems simpler than Bubble. Truth, it kind of just depends. I wouldn't say it's apples and oranges. It's not like one simpler than the other. If you're thinking about Toddle and you want to do, if you're doing the convention of coding and that makes you feel more comfortable, that would be something that it excels at. Bubble has a totally different methodology and it's been around for years. So it's just a different path. So simpler, it depends if you're already familiar with the structure of React and knowing how to use that. It might be more, it will be easier for you possibly, but it's just different. It's apples and oranges. Okay, cool. Great questions. Okay, we got through that. I swear I'm about to build space. I'm just answering questions and we'll go through it. Hey, Doc, I'm trying to build a calculator for accountants and taxpayers. I have coded the Excel sheet. Website is live. I'm using, okay, WordPress currently. Awesome. It's not that good as I've been having grand. Let me read it. It's not that good as I have to grant users to be able to do their calculations on my Google Sheet. The Google Sheets embed is not a mobile optimizer. Don't know. I have an app builder. I can be a solution since I've programmed the Google Sheets. One other program I'm facing is that I don't want users to see the formula on the Google Sheets. Currently, when they're granted, I programmed the Google Sheet. Well, just as I'm reading that, I believe BuildShip has, what was I just reading about it? I think you can do some calculations. I think you can build it. Well, building a calculator, you can definitely do that with FlutterFlow. There's tons of different platforms that can do it. I mean, one of the examples of Toddle is a calculator, right? There's a calculator app for Toddle right here. So then being able to plug it into it with Toddle, just put it in the chat. Depending on what you're doing, like I mentioned, Toddle has a, an example of one of their apps doing it, and you could just plug into your backend if you're using Google Sheets or things like that. But if I was building it with a native app, I'd probably do something closer to FlutterFlow or Web. Depends on what I'm doing. Great questions, though. Yeah, tons and tons and tons. Okay, cool. Okay, we're doing that here. Okay, I think I asked all those questions or answered those questions. Okay, cool. Okay, Jasper, keep me back on track. Okay, I think you might need to add the path to the API you're creating and not the Star Wars one. Okay, cool. Let's go back. Okay. Star return here. Let me look at their tutorials and the basics. So here. Okay. Creating a workflow. Okay. Like an HTTP request. Let's take a look. Okay. With this powerful trigger, you can initiate an automation, sending HTTP requests to specified endpoints. When creating the REST, excuse me, I sound like I'm dying. It's allergies. When you define a path, choose the method, okay, get, and go there. Okay. So we have the endpoint here. Okay. Add the endpoint. Okay, let's look at this. See. Well, let's take a look then. here. Grabbing this over here. Moving some things. Let's see. Base URL. The terminal. Okay. Yeah, we should be able to do that. Okay, should we just do that? Let's grab it, put it over here. Am I understanding correctly? Oh. Put this over here. Hold on one second. Put this here. Which characters? Did I just put that over there? Path. Let's see if I'm doing that correctly. So it's copy endpoint URL. Okay. Okay. Cool. And then specify the path. Okay. Okay, get. Yeah. Choose the path. Get. We'll do get. And method, no. Let's take a look. And we'll have it from there. And okay. If I'm doing that correctly. And have that there. REST API, we'll go there. Yeah. Why is notes right here? There, and we put that there. Okay. And then it says setting up your REST API trigger and okay. Set up your REST API, the following steps, right? In a fresh workflow, click add trigger, REST API from the available options. The REST API trigger comes with the 3 fields. Path, specify the URL endpoint to which you want to send the request. Okay. Then choose the method, which is, okay, get. So we're getting information, posting information, putting or deleting, right? So we're specifying the action we want. And the endpoint URL. This is the complete URL, including the endpoint you specified in the path field. Okay. Then it says the platform sends the request. The request API trigger allows you to pick any platform to trigger an HTTP request to the specified endpoint. Okay. Let me look at that. Maybe a refresh is needed. Possibly. Let's take a look. What I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh. Is my mic still glitching? Let me put this here. Let's restart this from scratch and make sure we have it. So we're going to do a REST. Okay. Let's do add a trigger. Now let's do it from here. Get. Okay. So we're going to get. Okay. And let's go with. Okay. So we have that. The path here. Specify the request path. We're going to say get. We're going to say forms triggering a REST. Okay, so the path to /calculator, and then it would be, yeah. And then copy the endpoint URL. Okay, so the trigger would be REST. It would be right there to calculate. Okay, so if we do planets or characters based on that, so API / yeah. Okay, so we have that. Or we could just do /films to see if we can pull it. Oh, we'll do people. Let's do it. making sure we have that. Of course, this is why we're going through it. Slash, oh yeah, we can do that. Okay, let's go back. The one thing that I have is slash people. Okay. Okay, to the people to get that. We're getting characters. Now the thing is right here, it's saying to click here. I'm messing up here. Post, we have be able to first name, everything like that. That's fine. But where is saying the URL here? What am I missing here? Copy this one here. Can I copy it? Am I not being able to do it? See my document real quick. Let me see here for a second. Let's see. Okay. Oh, by the way, the BuildShip team's watching, which is awesome. So what are they saying right here? I'm watching stream. You can add a number and a show in the node by clicking the node editor. Here's the shipping API. If you want to open the browser, you can show the return value. Then you can add some of the nodes like the email or email characters to return. Well, see, this is interesting. Okay. This is good. Well, this is why we have the team talking right here. See, it works well. Let's see. Let's see. Path can be /Star Wars. That's your API. Okay. Let's take a look. Yeah, that Star Wars node editor should have the URL inside. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Let's take a look at this. Right. Hold on one second. So hold on one second as we're going through this. Give me a second. We're getting different ones right here. Honestly, I was wondering if this was the best stack, whether I should start here with MVP or look for another solution. Oh, I see this here. Currently building a booking platform with mental health in New Zealand using WordPress, HighPress, and choosing between Bookneck or BookingPress for appointments. Okay, look for another solution. If this is what I would do as we're going through this real quick. If there's a solution right there and it's working for you, I would say first identifying what you need. What is it missing, right? Because we've seen a lot of people do their MVP with WordPress and then switch over to no code or low code solution. If that's the case, I would be looking at, are you missing anything before you're switching over? That's what I would be doing. That's what I would be doing. It's possible. It's possible that there's something else. In general, I would be looking at that. And then afterwards, I would be seeing, okay, if there's something that I can't be getting, can I then switch over to another platform? But if that combination works for you right now, I would go with that for at this exact moment, then go from there. Let me know if that makes sense. All of these platforms have pros and cons if you're using Flutter, if you're using Softer, all these things. We've seen ones that are profitable when they're using WordPress and a bunch of plugins until it gets to a point where they need a very specific solution where they're outgrowing it, right? And they don't want to use all of their time with trying to make sure all of the themes match, the plugins are updated. They just want a concise system. It could be that you're looking for a no-code solution in the future or right now, but I would go from there. Yeah. Yeah, just make sure the database is, exportable. UIs can be replicated. Yeah. So, I mean, it really depends. I wouldn't necessarily say that you have to leave it. You don't necessarily have to, unless there's something that you really need and it's something that you see one of these platforms would be great for. then I would consider that. Yeah, yeah, great question. Great question. Okay, so as we're looking at this, we're going to, this is what we're going to do. We have a session because from BuildShip we have a guest star that fell out. We're going to come back. We're going to go through the basics of where we're building it from scratch. We're going to go step by step through it, and then we'll come back and reconvene. That's what we're going to do to make sure that we're using all the time wisely. Ask me more questions because we're going to come back with a full breakdown, and then we'll go from there. If people have questions, I'm going to be here. I'm going to still be going through the documentation and looking at these videos. But if there's very specific questions you have, let me know, and then we're going to take a look at that as well. So first, to make sure I'm looking at this correctly, I'm going to look at one of their videos coming back, their walkthrough, to make sure I go through all this, and then we'll be back on this one. So I'm going to go through this. Hold on 1 second. Let's take a look. We're going to stop sharing my screen for a second. Stop sharing for a moment. Let's go here with the tab. Yeah, I think it's going to be tab only here. And then watch this and then add more. Let's see. Share tab. Okay.
Jobs back. BuildShip is a
Make sure if you can't hear the sound, let me know.
low-code visual backend building platform that lets you create APIs, schedule jobs, backend tasks easily, instantly, right from the browser. Let's see how. Once you sign into BuildShip, you will get a project in which you can start creating your workflows. First, you simply add a trigger. This is the starting point for your workflow. It can be an API call, a scheduled job, and many more that are coming. Also, you can start with one of these templates that we have for the most common use cases. Let's say you want to build a meditation audio generation app. So let's click that, and you'll get a bunch of nodes where that you simply need to plug in the API key and you'll be good to go. Here we have an OpenAI text generation one where you just need to add your OpenAI secret. Your secrets get stored securely in the Google Cloud Secret Manager. And once you add the key, you're ready to ship and immediately get this entire template for a specific use case deployed and ready to use in your apps. Now, instead of a template, if you want to start from scratch, let's see how that works. Create an API call, and you can use get, post, or any type of request. Let me give this a name, call this web scraper. So I'm going to do this where given a URL, I want to scrape all the contents of it. Now we have tons of nodes that are pre-built that you can use, or you can actually create one with AI by simply asking, given a URL, give me the scraped contents of the website in JSON format. So when you click generate, it creates a node for you. While that's happening, it takes about a few seconds. We can actually also explore some of the pre-existing nodes that we have. So we have connectors to different databases, third-party tools, connectors to popular APIs. So for example, if you want to use something from the replicate ecosystem, you can do so by selecting that and looking at some of the options that are available. You can also pop in any API key, NPM packages that you want to use, and AI generates a node for you. While we were talking, this node got generated. The good thing is, none of this is a black box. You can actually go into the code of everything that got generated and tweak it and test it. Let me take the blog that we have recently written, and you can do so by selecting that and looking at some of the options that are available. You can also pop in any API key, NPM packages that you want to use, and AI generates a node for you. While we were talking, this node got generated. The good thing is none of this is a black box. You can actually go into the code of everything that got generated and tweak it and test it. Let me take the blog that we have recently written and add that as a URL and click test node. You can see that it came back with a response, which is basically all the contents from the website. So this node looks good to go. So we can actually go back here and continue building our workflow. Obviously, you don't want to hard code one blog. So what you can do is get the value from the incoming request, pass it to the next node, use the contents of this to pass it to the next node, and so on by using this context menu. Here you can see the incoming request has query, body, and headers. You can also use the expression editor that is available right here. So let me go ahead and pick up the incoming query parameter and URL so that from the incoming request, you can pass the link that you want to scrape. Now you want to return the value that got scraped. So simply add a return node and make that a status OK 200. And you can use the data that got scraped and return that back. And we have a bunch of core nodes. It also allows you to branch, loop, do things in parallel. So essentially, there's no limit to what you can build. You can build your logic this way, step by step, pass value from one to another. And when you're ready, simply click ship. And it gives you a API that is easy to copy and start using in your front-end applications that you build, either with a no-code builder or a front-end framework like Next.js, React, and so on. Now, I can go here, use this endpoint, add the URL parameter, and copy over this blog key and paste it in. This is how I would actually call on your app. The response is here, you get the complete HTML. So the good thing is, if you want to change the logic any way you want, you can use the help of AI to tweak the logic. So you can say, take two URLs and scrape both the content. So instead of one, if you want to do multiple things, URL one, URL two, you can do that. So let's just wait a second and see what it says. There you go. It gave you two options now. You can actually go look at the parameters here. You can also tweak the output. You can add any node in between, add more steps, expand this any way you like, tweak the logic. You have all the tools like a developer would with version control, logging, and it's fully scalable on Google Cloud. BuildShip lets you build your ideas exactly the way you want with the ease of no code and the power of Google Cloud and AI. That's it for now. I'd love to get your feedback on this. Thank you.
Let's go ahead and briefly dive into BuildShip, a brand new visual backend build.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to this. That was really helpful, actually. Okay. So let's go back here. I took some notes for a moment. Okay. So as it was going, added some things right here for a moment. Right here, let's take a look at this. So, and by the way, the BuildShip team is amazing, talking as I'm going through this as well. So right here, we're talking about the trigger. This is the BuildShip trigger of the API that you can use. So this will generate the BuildShip API URL when you ship. Okay, so we have that for the trigger. So it says the Star Wars node, AI generated node. This is the prompt. I need a node that generates the Star Wars characters with the API URL. And then we have the URL right here. So let's input that over here. Let's change this. Edit right here. Okay, we're going to generate that. Okay, and that's going to input the input and string variable as another input for the parameter. And so that the API call URL looks like, okay, the HTTP request, okay, response in JSON, okay. So then the return value from the Star Wars node and return it with a 200 status. Okay, let's take a look. Once we click it, we're going to be able to click ship, It will give you an API that will give you an example. Okay. I think that was a great explainer. And by the way, thank you for the team and everything there. That is wonderful. Let's take a look here for a moment. Okay, so we have that. We're going to ship. Let's see what it does. I'm going to say Star Wars. Beta test. Updated that. It's thinking about its life for a moment. Yeah. Okay. So yep. Successful. And then here we have the endpoint URL, and you can export the API. So very interesting. Excuse me. Very interesting. Okay. Okay. This has been very interesting. Okay. So again, we're going through this. We're seeing it for the first time, experimenting with it. The things that I really like about it is the flexibility. What I would like, and I'll actually talk to the BuildShip team as we're going through this, is I really like everything that it has, and the possibilities are just endless. For the AI, for the prompting, what I would probably want is a clear delineation, the best structure to ask it for what you should be producing. And this is what I'll tell the team. I think it's just great. And by the way, probably just like cringing how many mistakes they made. But the reason we do these things live is to show, okay, this is what we're doing in real time. Here's the problems. Here's what I have trouble with. So all of these things, this is why if anyone's seen these live streams, this is why we do it. And then we'll come back and do another video that's cleaner and more concise. But this is really important that we go through this. But what I would want is vocabulary and phrases, the best way to use AI prompts, and then examples of, if I'm trying to do X, this is what I need to do to get Y. Let me know in the comment section if that makes sense, what I'm saying. I also like how right there it already has the endpoint for you to be able to use it in your project. This could streamline a lot of things when you're using it in FlutterFlow, if you're using it with web or anything really. And again, it can also still be used for Rowie, which is their low-code backend as well, that we've had different students use it for FlutterFlow and beyond. So this is the beginning first step here. We're going to come back with more. Before we go, there was another question about another platform that I'm going to talk about. And then let me know in the comment section if I missed something, if you have more questions. Also, too, like I was talking about the WordPress thing, if that makes sense, if people were saying, let me know. Okay, so let me answer one more question here. In future in the comments, I think you've asked this before in the past here, asking about Noah. I don't really have a problem with this platform. Again, I see a lot of times for the front end, a lot of people, I think, just get wrapped up of like, what's the best solution. And what I would say is, write down what you need for your application, what you're trying to build for your internal tool. See if that platform has the functionality that you need, and then just try it out. Right. The thing is, what I see a lot of people paralyzed to do is try to find the best solution, and there is no best solution. There's ones that have the most amount of functionality for your use case, but to compare like Bubble to Builder to FlutterFlow to Softer, there's so many different intricate use cases and why you'd use one over the other. I would say, Noah, I don't really, it didn't really impress me at first glance and seeing it. If there's a clear functionality that, it's better than one over the other, then I'll take a look. But what I find is a lot of them, very few do I say like this is the best one. It just really depends. If you've seen any of my versus videos, it just depends on your use case and what you're trying to do. It seems fine. I don't have any problems with it. But it's just not my first choice. I haven't seen anything that really jumps out. The reason why I like teams like FlutterFlow with Roe and BuildShip is I see the team build very, very aggressively, listen to the community. There are clear use cases in how people are scaling and building them, and then going from there to see that this is the right path for them. Everyone has pros and cons, like I said, but I'm always looking for ones that have a team that are aggressively they're looking for. There's something that really stands out, like when we did BuildShip, there's just something that was very unique, and it's a clear need in the community and with no code and low code builders. And so going from there, that will help with making a decision. In a lot of these videos, like I mentioned, I don't personally use Bubble. I know a lot of people that do. I'm like, if you like Bubble, here are a few experts that I would suggest. But Bubble's not great for everyone, right? Now they're making some new strides, and they're doing stuff with AI and native apps, I believe, for next year. That's going to be interesting. So follow JJ if he's doing stuff like that, or Mark Fletcher. But for me, I'm usually doing something that has more flexibility for mobile apps, which is going to be more FlutterFlow. Or for beginners, I'm usually teaching them how to use Software Glide just to get people to build their MVPs quicker and being able to see if they can validate and make money, go from there. So we're going to be back with more soon. And if you have questions, let me know in the chat. Thank you so much for everyone being here. And also to the last question, I'm trying to build a calculator. I'm not trying to embed a calculator. Yeah. So if you're trying to build a calculator, I would just build it using, it depends on, so we're going to bring this, I'm going to make sure I have this comment that I can follow up on in the comment section. To build it, you just need the logic and everything. I would probably just build it either with different plugins with Bubble. I would probably just go with FlutterFlow. But you can do calculators in tons of different ones. Toddle isn't embedding it. You can actually just build out a calculator there as well. So it really depends. All of those things, what I would do is go into a community board into one of the different platforms, Bubble, FlutterFlow, or Toddle, and just ask if there's an example. There are tons that are building out calculators like that. Again, thank you so much for watching and watching us go through this process. We're going to be back and we'll do more videos in the future, really showing a clear use case, step by step, and going through that. And again, thank you so much for the time. Thank you for being here. If you have questions, let me know in the comment section. If you like content like this as we're going through this, make sure you like and subscribe. We do this every single week. I'll see you in the next video.